You are floating. The surface is calm. Below you, the water darkens, first blue, then gray, then black. You cannot see the bottom. You cannot see what is down there. And something, without your permission, begins to change. Your breathing shifts. Your legs pull up slightly. Your eyes scan the surface around you for something to hold on to. Nothing happened. Nothing is there. But your body has already decided that something could be. This is one of the most common fears on the planet. Not sharks specifically, not drowning specifically, just the depth itself. The darkness below. The unknown beneath. And almost nobody knows why it exists, or where it actually comes from. There is a name for it, thalassophobia, from the Greek word for sea, a fear of deep, dark, open water. Researchers estimate that a significant portion of the human population experiences some version of it, not necessarily a clinical phobia, but a discomfort, a heightened awareness, a reluctance to swim out past where the bottom is visible. The interesting thing is that this fear shows up across cultures, across continents, across people who have never been near an ocean and people who grew up beside one, which suggests it is not learned. It is inherited. To understand where it comes from, you need to go back to a world that looked very different from this one. For most of human evolutionary history, bodies of water were not recreational. They were resources and hazards simultaneously. Rivers and lakes provided drinking water, fish, and transportation routes. They also provided crocodiles. Nile crocodiles, which were historically distributed across a much wider range of Africa than they are today, are ambush predators. They wait at the water's edge. They wait below the surface. They are invisible until the moment they are not. In East Africa, where much of early human evolution occurred, crocodile attacks were not uncommon. They were a regular feature of the landscape. A human approaching water for any reason, to drink, to cross, to fish, was a human entering a zone where something large, fast, and invisible could kill them before they had time to react. The water's surface is a boundary. Below it, you cannot see. You cannot predict. You cannot prepare. For hundreds of thousands of years, that boundary was genuinely dangerous. But crocodiles are not the only explanation. Because the fear of deep water is not just a fear of predators, it is a fear of the specific quality of not knowing what is below. Researchers who study this have found something interesting. The fear response in deep water is not triggered by the depth itself. Clear water, even very deep clear water, produces significantly less anxiety than dark water of the same depth. It is not the distance to the bottom, it is the inability to see it. This distinction matters because it tells us the fear is not about physics. It is about information. Your brain, when it cannot see what is below you, fills that gap with the worst possible answer, not because it is irrational, because for hundreds of thousands of years, filling that gap conservatively was the strategy that kept you alive. The ancestor who assumed something dangerous might be below the surface was more cautious. More cautious meant less likely to be taken by surprise. Less likely to be taken by surprise meant more likely to survive. The ones who felt no discomfort, who swam freely into dark water without hesitation, faced a world that punished that kind of confidence, and they passed that lesson on less often than the cautious ones did. There is a concept in evolutionary psychology called the smoke detector principle. The idea is simple. A smoke detector that goes off occasionally when there is no fire is annoying. But a smoke detector that fails to go off when there is a fire is catastrophic. So the system is calibrated to over-respond rather than under-respond. False alarms are acceptable. Missed alarms are not. Your brain operates the same way with potential threats. It is better to be afraid of dark water that turns out to be empty than to be unafraid of dark water that turns out to contain something. The cost of unnecessary fear is discomfort. The cost of missing a real threat is death. So your brain, built by evolution and not by comfort, chose discomfort. Every time. Here is where the story becomes strange. Because modern humans are afraid of deep water, even in environments where the original threat does not exist. A swimming pool with the lights off, a lake in Canada where there are no crocodiles, an ocean where you have been told, clearly and accurately, that nothing dangerous is present. The fear persists anyway. Why? Because the brain that runs this fear response is not the rational, language-using, consciously reasoning brain you identify with. It is older than that. It is the part of the brain that has been running threat detection since long before humans could talk. The amygdala does not check whether crocodiles are native to this region. It does not cross-reference the local wildlife database. It detects dark water. It detects an obscured surface. It detects the absence of visible floor, and it fires. The rational brain can receive this signal and tell you there is nothing there. But the rational brain does not get to turn the alarm off. It can only observe that the alarm is ringing while the alarm continues to ring. There is another layer to this. Humans are not naturally equipped for deep water. This sounds obvious, but the implications run deep. On land, you have context. You can see distances. You can hear what is coming. You can feel vibrations through the ground. You can smell the environment. In deep water, almost all of that is gone. You cannot see clearly. You cannot hear in the way you are built to hear. You cannot feel vibrations through a medium that doesn't transmit them the way Earth does. You cannot orient yourself in 3 dimensions as effectively as you can on land. You are, in water, genuinely less capable than you are on land. Your senses are partially blinded. Your movement is restricted. Your ability to respond to threats is reduced, and your brain knows this. The anxiety of deep water is not just about what might be below. It is about the fundamental mismatch between the environment and the body you are in. You were not built for this place, and some part of your brain, the ancient part, has never forgotten it. There is something almost strange about swimming in the ocean when you think about it this way. Every person who has ever drifted out past where the water turns dark and looked down at the place where visibility ends has had the same moment, the same quiet shift, the same pull toward the surface, toward the shore, toward solid ground. That moment is not weakness. It is one of the oldest signals your nervous system knows how to send. A message from 100,000 years of humans who learned the hard way that the dark water was not always empty. Who survived because they respected that lesson? Who passed it to you so completely that you feel it now, in a swimming pool, in a calm lake, in water you know rationally is safe? Basically, you are not afraid of deep water because you are irrational. You are afraid of deep water because your ancestors who weren't afraid of it didn't make it this far.